Hello and welcome to the Invincible Podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman. Now in today's episode, we're going to be continuing our new reader series where we sit down to talk to friends who have never read Invincible before, and we follow along as they experience it for the first time. So joining me, as always, for this is Liz.
Hi.
And Brittany.
Hello.
It has been a long time.
Yes, it has.
It's been a while. Now, we sat down to record the Volume 8 like a little over 2 months ago. Was it before Christmas?
No.
Maybe shortly after.
I think it was shortly after.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it was after.
What have you been up to?
Nothing.
You just got back from vacation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Florida for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In the old
you're
camper.
You're looking a little tan.
I do.
You do
I have
look
a
tan.
little tan.
It's the freckles.
Oh, God, they all come out.
Yep, that's honestly
They're
about
Irish.
it. Billy turned 30, so
Yeah.
we're gonna all go out tomorrow.
Speaking of birthdays, we turned 1 year old. The podcast turned a year old.
Hey!
Yeah. So in between, last episode and this episode, we crossed our 1 year mark, and so we've officially been doing this for 1 year.
That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Happy birthday to us.
So that being said, thanks again to all of our listeners. Like, that's kind of awesome that, people have stuck around for a year. I mean, we've said it before that we'd still be doing this even if nobody was really listening, but we seem to have found a little group of people that like to, listen to us every week, and we appreciate that a lot. A lot has happened in this year. This is, since we started this, they announced the end of Invincible, which is, kind of shitty that we start a podcast and then they announce the end, but it was still very exciting to be doing the podcast when they announced that. We got to sit down and interview Ryan Ottley and chat with him for a while. We've met a lot of fans of Invincible and gotten a chance to talk to them and get to know them better. They've come out with action figures. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with Invincible right now, and we've got another year of it at least. So that's going to be fun too. I mean, it's going to be a really fun year. So remember, if you want to, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. Leave us a review over on iTunes. We're also on Google Play if you have an Android. Other than that, not too much as far as news. I want to give a shout out to the Invincible Fans Facebook page. I think it's Invincifans. Go over there because they extended their contest that they're doing. They're doing a really cool contest all about the, predicting who's going to die in the end, before the end of Invincible. They've got some amazing prizes over there, some original art, some Kirkman autographed action figures, a lot of great stuff. So definitely go over to that, check them out, and I think we're ready to go. We're about to jump right into New Reader Volume 9. Now, Volume 9 of Invincible, this is the hardcover collection. This is issues 97 to 108. Now, since we did the last one, that was, a couple months ago, do you remember? I know we're going to, kind of refresh our memories as we go along. Do you remember liking this one?
The one that we're reading?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I like this one.
Yeah, it just gets more into depth of the story.
Mm-hmm. This one got pretty intense. It sets up some really cool storylines that have been brewing. So kind of a quick previously on, in Volume 8, the major things that happened was the Flaxon Dimension, with Robot and Monster Girl getting stranded there, Robot becoming ruler of the Flaxons, Mark lost his powers because of the Scourge virus.
Yep.
Got blasted in his face from Oliver, and Xandal, who is kind of taken on the costume of Invincible.
Bulletproof.
Yeah, Bulletproof. Yep. Kind of, walked in the door after helping that fight with the Flaxons, and was talking out loud to his girlfriend, and didn't realize his parents were in the room. So he kind of blurted out because his parents are under the impression that his twin is Invincible, is the superhero. So that's actually where issue 97 starts off. And I love the cover of issue 97. It's a very cool cover. It's bulletproof, like looking at a blood splattered wall. But it's him in the Invincible costume looking at himself in the bulletproof costume. Yeah. Like, I just thought that was kind of cool because this one has a lot to do with, his inner demons and everything,
going on,
yes.
How he's helping.
And the fact that he has a twin. Like, it kind of, there's a lot playing into this cover. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but like we said, he walks in and he decides to tell his parents the truth. What actually happened with his brother and why he's been, kind of living this dual life pretending to be his twin brother. And it was because, well, his brother was the smart one, the one who was the, genius, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the one who built things.
Yeah, and he was the artist. So there was these two, Xandal was the artist and his brother was the scientist. And his brother became obsessed with superpowers and all the superheroes in the world and decided to try and make one.
Yeah, straight up kidnapped his brother. It's like, I'm gonna do experiments on you.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool concept because he basically has a guinea pig that is his identity, his DNA and everything.
It's genius.
So yeah, but it goes wrong. The experiment that he tried to do on his kidnapped twin brother Xandal failed in the sense that it destroyed everything around Xandal. It gave Xandal the powers, but it killed himself in return. And he just, that's how he became bulletproof, and he couldn't go back to,
Yeah. Well, I love that scene too, just of his brother's body, just standing there, and he touches it, all the ashes just crumble.
Yep.
I really like that imagery. And yeah, the fact that he takes on the dual identity of his brother just to get his parents' affection, because he's always been the outcast twin.
For one, I can relate.
Yeah, I was like, can you relate to this?
Oh yeah, Brittany is a twin.
Being I'm a twin, and my sister, she's the one with the straight A's and everything. Yeah, I can totally relate to that one.
Interesting.
I just got through high school, and she did it all.
Really?
So.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really cool origin for him. I mean, to kind of be doing this just to get their affection, and meanwhile he's out, being this superhero, saving the world. He's also portraying, this artist that his parents don't care about, and who they just, they don't think much of him. So,
no. This destroyed me. This origin story.
Yeah.
I just felt so bad for him. And, I didn't have a really big connection with Bulletproof or, feel one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, when you get to know someone more, you're like...
Yeah, it's almost like Rex, where it's you don't care too much about Rex, you think he's an asshole, and then they go and give him a sob story background.
Rex, okay, yeah. Well, yeah, same for him, and then when he finally, gets it out to his parents of, this is what's happened, I've been hiding it for years and years, their reaction, basically, they call him a murderer.
Yeah.
They do. They're it's your fault.
Yeah.
I'm what just happened?
Yeah. And, real quick, before, when they're still going through the flashbacks or anything like that, when Xandal's going to see a movie with his parents, the movie is Sea Bear vs. Grizzly Shark, which is a...
hey, Grizzly Shark!
Yeah, which is a Ryan Ottley comic that he did, which is awesome. A little nod in there. But yeah, he tells his parents this story, and he basically says his brother was evil. And they're they refuse to believe it at first. They're like, no, what did you do? No, you must have killed him.
That
you must have
made
killed
me
him.
so angry.
Mm-hmm.
I know, that Carl Winslow yelling at him.
and then this is where it kind of takes a little bit of a turn.
Okay, so first of all, when I was first reading this, I was with a student that I tutor, and because she was working on work, so I was okay, I was going to read Invincible, and I went, ooh! And she looked up at me, I'm like, I'm sorry, it's a good part.
And you're like, I can't show you.
I know. Well, she's 16, so she
okay, I thought it was
younger. Yeah, so Carla gets a frying pan.
I was not expecting that. I was
exactly.
Like, oh,
shit. She got crazy and bashed Xandal's mom in the head.
Well, because right before, Xandal's mom is saying, we'll see you fry for this. You're going to jail. You're going to,
Yeah, she was attacking him. We're calling the police. You're done.
Yeah. And, I mean, I get it. It's still a little excessive of Carla, but damn. Mm-hmm. I mean...
He did say Carla's good for him, so,
Yeah.
you know, she's defending her man.
Yeah, and then his dad goes off and attacks Carla, punches Carla.
Did you notice the mom's name?
What was it?
Harriet. Wasn't it Harriet and Carl Winslow? Was
Family
it?
Matters?
Yeah, wasn't
Was
it?
it really?
I'm pretty sure the mom's name was Harriet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said. He looks like Carl Winslow. I know in the very beginning they did the Winslow for
Yeah,
the
you're right.
principal or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Nice catch. That's cool. But yeah, so Winslow starts choking Carla, yelling he's going to kill her. And Xandal goes to pull his dad off of Carla, and in turn it looks almost as though he just like kind of breaks his neck.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Pulls it, stretches his neck or something.
Right, because blood just comes shooting out of his mouth. Like, he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I felt about his whole story.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know.
Well, it happened really fast.
Right, and I
Yeah.
didn't like it.
Which is just like accentuated by this next page, which is just 4 panels, and it's just like put him in the car, throw the car off the cliff, funeral scene,
Yep.
and then them sitting there at the table with the frying pan in the garbage, just kind of like
I didn't catch that. That's so funny. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like done, and then to go from that to you turn the page to the splash page of Philip Schaff, the creator of Science Dog, at a convention, saying, and I quote, "Heavy-handed, jarring, overly dark, hell, out of place even, all of the above. I completely agree." Like,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know. It's
Yeah.
it's being very
the
self-aware.
satire. It's hysterical.
Yeah, so I love that. I mean, and I love any time that Mark talks to the creator of Science Dog, and it's a great opportunity for Kirkman to be very self-aware and kind of third person a little bit. And
Yeah, and I like that his shirt looks like it says "Zombies suck." You know,
yes,
like
yep. Oh yeah. So, but yeah, pretty great. Mark's upset that Philip Schaff doesn't remember him, and they talk a little bit about how it's a little ridiculous to have 15 variant covers leading up to issue 100.
I was
and all this
laughing
kind of stuff.
hysterically at this.
That's
Like you said, it's a reflective.
Yeah.
Like
very cool though.
can't do this to avid collectors. And,
Yeah. I liked remember Mark doesn't have his powers, so Eve is flying him away from the convention like in a little box.
And then there was Michonne.
Yeah, Michonne with a zombie Princess Leia defender. So, and now this is the first we've seen of Nolan on the next page here. This is the first we've seen of him since him and Alan fought.
Right.
Because they, there was the whole disagreement about whether or not to use the Scourge virus. And he was put in prison, but just kind of like to contain him. But Alan apologizes, lets him out, and
Right, because he realized like what he did, which again is, I mean, Alan's a good guy, so I'm glad that he let him out and he's smoothing things over slowly.
Yeah. I mean, Nolan's pissed because he doesn't know what's going on. He didn't know that Mark got sprayed with the virus, so Alan knows all of that. So, Nolan's concerned, obviously.
And then there's little Oliver in the background, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yep.
I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. So Alan sends, basically asks Nolan to, go check up on the situation of the Viltrumites on Earth.
Right. Because they have no idea. Well, they know that they're obviously planning something.
Mm-hmm.
They're not to be trusted, so, like, they need to figure this out.
Last we knew, they were just living among them. We don't know what the deal is.
Right, but the one showed that he cared about someone. I remember that.
because he had some wives.
The one with the patch.
Yeah, was that?
That was last. Because they were like
that
sitting
didn't
on.
happen yet.
No. They were sitting on a bench. This was pretty.
That was Anissa sitting on a bench, and guys were like,
Yeah, but there was something that happened that were like, do we think that they're gonna have?
Oh, okay. Oh,
so we did talk about
you are
that.
right. You are right, because he helped during the fight with the Flaxons in Paris or something like that, and Thrag yelled at him. He's like, "Why were you helping them?" And he's like, "Well, I have one of my wives lives there."
Right.
You're right. I forgot about that.
Yes.
You're right. So very cool. And but Alan and Thrag don't know that, or Alan and Nolan don't know that yet.
Right.
So Alan and Debbie leave Oliver on Telestria with Alan, and they head to Earth. And this last scene, we get a sex scene with Eve and Mark, and Mark freaks out.
I didn't know what was happening at that point. I really didn't. I was kind of like,
what is he doing?
Yeah, I was like, it's just his face alone. I was like, I was thinking like Eve was transforming or something like weird. But then I love it. After you turn the page to the next panel, full panel of Mark is back.
Yeah, I got my powers back, baby.
Woohoo!
Yep. And that's how 97 ends. So issue 98, now you'll notice the little tag on the top of this says The Death of Everyone, part 1 of 3. This was the beginning of a little arc they called The Death of Everyone.
Okay.
And you know why, but the cover, Mark and Xandal, both in their Invincible costumes. That's right where this issue starts off, with
them
both of them talking to each other.
Yeah.
And Mark basically saying, you know what, go ahead and keep the costume. Thanks for helping. They call me Invincible Boy now anyways. So
which is terrible.
Yep. And we find out Mark goes to see Dinosaurus. And Dinosaurus has been up to something. Last time we saw him in the last volume, Mark basically says, I gotta check on him. And we get this splash page of him like tinkering away.
Right.
So we find out what Dinosaurus has been up to. He has done something to LA, and Mark is freaking out. And he's like, where? Is it everyone? Like, what have you done? And Dinosaurus basically says, you're too late. And Mark takes off. And if you look at I don't know if you caught this the first time, because I definitely didn't. After Mark dashes away, Dinosaur says, you're too late. And he says, I'm truly sorry it came to this, my friend. And he's walking into a room, and you can see in a tank, there's a body in a tank.
Oh.
And I did not catch that the first time I read this. So that's a little foreshadowing as to what Dinosaurus has planned.
Yeah.
So kind of neat. And then a splash page of Angstrom Levy.
I know.
He just doesn't die.
Nope. Well, more on that later.
Yeah.
But he's yelling, I must have my revenge. I've waited long enough. And then...
I'm like, just give it up, man.
Yes.
Like, just let it go.
It wasn't even his fault.
Which is what's great about what happens in this volume.
Oh, yes.
They touch on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the technicians are there. And they, last time we saw him was issue 60, I believe, when all the other Universe Invincibles, he brought them all to attack Earth. And he sent them all, because they were disobeying him, back to that desert dimension.
Yeah.
And... Oliver was pleading with Mark. He's like, kill him, And Mark, decides to. You could see it in his eyes. He decides to kill him. But Angstrom escapes. He gets his arm cut off through the portal. And the technicians said, no, you work for us now.
Right.
And so we find out here that Angstrom says, he's like, I've transformed your world. I've provided you with, a population who worships you as gods. You have limitless resources.
What more do you need from me?
Yeah, what do you need? And they're like, nothing. You're free. You can go.
Ding, ding. He's ready.
Yep. So Mark, meanwhile, is flying all over LA trying to find this bomb. He's assuming it's another bomb, which he finds one. And, they teleport Robot in to start diffusing it. And they're trying to figure out what it is. And he's trying to find more of them. And we get all the other Guardians come in. And it starts shaking and going off and everything like that. And Dinosaurus shows up. And he starts fighting with Mark again. And basically tells him that, you should have been smart enough to know this was a distraction. This isn't the real threat. And he's like, you need to take a closer look. And, they fly up into the sky. And it shows... Now, what is that? Is that Greenland? Iceland?
Dude,
I don't know.
Somewhere.
It's somewhere north of Canada. It looks like Greenland and the small Iceland right there. Or vice versa. I get it mixed up. But anyways, there's bombs planted all over that. And basically it's showing that he's planted bombs all over ice caps.
Yep.
And he's destroyed all these ice caps, which is going to cause this massive tidal wave. And Mark's, obviously shocked. He's saying, oh, God.
Right. And he knows there's nothing.
Yep.
And then this was one of my favorite panels when I turn the page and you just see the destruction of all the different cities around the world. You know, there's Paris, there's New York,
Do you
Tokyo.
know what this first one is? With the palm trees and that kind of angular triangle kind of building.
Mm-mm.
I'm not sure what that one is. But yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. New York, Paris.
Yeah, Australia. It's hitting everywhere. Yeah, and all you see is just people drowning, getting caught up in this. And it's buildings high, so you know that it's just
And these are all
it's mass destruction.
Yep. And these are all coastal cities, which comes into play with what,
Well, and that's where the most population is. You know, you think about how many people live in New York or, Tokyo. It's crazy.
Yep. So, Mark, full page spread just says you're killing everyone. So,
and you guys had to end with this.
oh my gosh, we had to end with this. And again, this is leading up to issue 100. This is a big, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
We knew something was coming.
You know what's funny is, I knew issue 100 was going to be, a big one, but when I was reading it, I didn't think about it because I had instant access to it.
That's right.
So I don't think it played out as big as it did for you guys, but it was...
And for months even before this, they were teasing the death of everyone. The death of everyone. They had all this artwork that showed, all of them, basically dying or dead. And so we're like, oh boy, something huge is coming. And for that page to end with Mark saying, you're killing everyone. And at the time, we're like, who's going to die? Is somebody going to die? And then here's issue 99 with an awesome cover of Mark fighting dinosaurs with the bodies of everybody at his feet.
Yeah.
And then the first thing Dinosaurus says is, this isn't the death of everyone.
Right.
Again, it's kind of Kirkman playing into it, being like, listen, this is...
It's just death of some.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and a lot. And it's not even... There really aren't even, major character deaths in this. It's just more, impactful than that. So... This issue is special because it is only splash pages. It is only single full page.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really cool. Very fun, And so it's interesting because it probably won't take us long to talk about this one because, it's pretty quick read, but it's gorgeous. The art in it is amazing.
I wonder how much longer, or if this took longer, or if each individual
panel takes longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are pretty detailed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you're doing more detail or more panels. It's interesting. That's a good question for Ryan. So, they continue to fight. Robot and the Guardians are trying to come up with a plan to,
fix this water issue.
Figure out what to do. Meanwhile, Robot, obviously in his command center, is sending and controlling all the Guardians everywhere.
Right. It's like, they've got this place covered, this one, I've connected with them.
Yep.
I'm sending more, I call them as drones. But
yeah, definitely.
So he's sending all of them, getting people up to higher levels, and then he's got to hatch a little plan of how they're actually going to handle this, because the water's staying. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And some more amazing pages of Invincible and Dinosaurus fighting, and Dinosaurus basically saying, this is true. It seems horrible now, but these deaths are inconsequential. This is going to help. This is going to make things better. And they're just beating the shit out of each other. And,
yeah, I really like Dinosaurus. At first I was kind of about him, but I feel like he's shaping up to be a good villain.
Yeah.
And in a sense of, of course, everyone always thinks what I'm doing is right. The Scourge virus, I'm doing what's right. It's a constant play throughout these graphic novels. And I just, no matter what, he's trying to justify what he's doing. And, Mark's just not having any of it. So it's just, I don't know. I like that Mark is as strong-willed as he is and a good guy.
Yeah.
Through and through. No matter what he does, he's always tries to do the right thing.
Which it's great that you brought that up, because that comes into play soon with his conversation with Cecil. But yeah, so they continue to fight. We get an awesome shot of Thrag basically telling all the Viltrumites, don't help.
Stay out of it.
Stay out of it. And you get this, we get, threat, what's his name? General Craig, I think it is, in the foreground, the one with the eye patch, kind of looking off to the side, disappointed, because like you guys said,
yep.
He's got,
look at his face. He's like, yeah, fucking right.
Yeah, he's not happy about it.
He's gonna be a good guy.
I know.
So they continue to fight. There's giant splash pages of them fighting, and we get this like a news helicopter tracking them, and this entire building crumbles down on top of Dinosaurus and Mark.
Well, honestly, like, and at this point too, I even said to myself, I was like, where did Mark's clothes go? Why is he naked? Like, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, they were. The last time we see him, he's got his, claws, shredding it, and then the building crashes down, so I don't think I considered it too much. Like, maybe I just assumed the rubble ripped it off, or...
Yeah. I mean, like, I did. I went back and forth, and I was like, why is he wearing no clothes? Like, it did stand out to me, and obviously later it becomes clear why, but that is something that I noticed, that I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I just assumed it was from fighting.
Oh, okay. I was like, he doesn't even have any underwear on. He's, legit naked.
So, yeah, and it ends with Dinosaurus saying that, you have to die. This is the only way I see now that you've got to die. And he's squeezing Mark's head. So, now you have to wait a month to find out what happens. It was exciting, but nonetheless, though, I mean, it is exciting having to wait, but part of me knew, you end it like that, part of me knew that they were going to start the next one with just squish. And they do.
Yeah.
So, issue 100, and again, there were 15 variant covers for this, but I love the cover they choose to put in the volumes. And it's just, Mark with all the heads behind him of all of the characters, and it's a very, commemorative looking cover.
Right.
And,
he's looking tried and true.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, when I first heard this, I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was literally in shock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. What did you think when you turned the page?
Well, I knew it wasn't over.
Yeah.
But I honestly didn't know where it was going to go from here.
Yeah, because, I mean, you guys know that the series is still going.
Right.
But, so you're in an interesting position where it's more of a what's going to happen, or how do they get out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because, they're obviously super strong. So, but I was thinking there's no coming back from that. And then when I turned the page, and there's the scene of Dinosaurus literally ripping Mark in half.
Like long ways.
Like from neck all the way down his torso. Like the ribs are exposed, his brain, his eyeballs are everywhere. And that's there's no coming back from that. No. And I was so confused. I was like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
So then even there's the newscasters, and they're kind of just sitting there.
Deer in a headlight.
Yeah,
what just happened?
Are we showing this live?
Mm-hmm.
And they're oh my god, yes we are.
Yeah.
And that was just, and then when you turn the page,
I loved this.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
With everyone's face in just...
There's all these boxes.
Yeah.
And it's
because
just everyone's
everybody's
expression.
sitting here watching this live and really happen, and it's just everybody. And I didn't know who this one little old guy was. This guy
was
down
that from
here.
the very beginning, in the tunnel or whatever?
That's Doc Seismic.
Doc Seismic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know if you saw him. It's just his
yes.
face. It doesn't really look like
anything.
anything.
It looked a little odd to me. I was like, he looks menacing.
I'm pretty sure my face looked just like this when I was reading it.
No, totally. And what stood out to me is how shocked Rex looked. So then that's, when I saw this, I was like, so there's not something
going on.
This is real. Because everybody's reacting
even
this.
Rex, who's insanely smart, is shocked.
Exactly.
I liked that they threw that Powerplex, in there. So Powerplex is ooh.
Right?
But Wolfman, it's cool. It's a great shot. But they don't keep you waiting for long.
No, they don't. They don't.
Which is great. I'm glad it wasn't a...
wait till
3
the next,
issues. What happened to him?
Yeah, but even this, I was like, "Is this an afterlife?" I still wasn't clear, because then it shows Mark just completely surrounded by black, and asking "Where am I? What's going on?" Until all of a sudden he hears a voice that says, "Hello, Mark Grayson." So I instantly thought it was Angstrom Levy.
Oh, cool.
Like somehow
he pulled them
through, the whole killing thing. I just kind of
your brain just goes like a million. I'm like, he's in heaven.
He's getting greeted at the pearly white gates.
I was just gonna say you're doing a good job. You can go back now.
Yeah, there's gonna be like this whole supernatural twist where.
Yeah, but I was kind of like, what's going on with that? And then I was also thinking, oh, is this the shadow world? Like where...
You're so smart, Liz. Like, that's another good idea from Darkwing, I think it was.
Darkwing,
yeah. And he pulled people into the shadow world.
Yeah, so then I was like, maybe
that's another
he went
good...
there.
Yeah, nope, that is not how my brain works.
I don't think... It was funny, because while you're saying, like, we're coming up with different theories of what could happen, I thought to myself, oh, it could be the Shadowverse or Shadow World or whatever it was called. And I don't think I've ever thought that before. And you thought of that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Good catch.
I was very intrigued as to what was happening. And then it like moves on to the aftermath of, the team still trying to clean up after this big seismic event.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes through and shows different people, trying to survive. They're coming out to get food and they're asking Rex, like, have you figured something out yet? And then the next panel just shows him, we're working as fast as we can. I've got something that's going to work.
Yeah.
And, you see this big metal, I don't know, round shaped thing. And I just, like, I saw all the, up there, you see all the gold in there. And I was like, are those all robots working?
Oh, those are people, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how big that is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he has hundreds of these robots.
Right.
So.
And then I was trying to, was that like, what's Paul's name?
Yeah, you're right. I was just thinking of that. It's Paul and, not multiple.
Yeah.
No, it's I think it was his name Paul. It was the thief who ended up.
They were on the little writing thing that they.
Yeah,
were
not those two.
Oh.
That's Dropkick and Fightmaster. They went into the future. It's not them. This is D.A. Sinclair and the guy that he's working with.
Okay.
The guy, remember Gravy Tater? He has that gun. Mark was like, why the hell did you sell your tech to a robber? And he said, here, instead of you going to jail, I know who you can work with.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So I think that's those two in the background.
Yeah, because he does say, like, get D.A. Sinclair so they can work together and stuff like that. And then it quickly goes back to, showing Mark still in this dark world until he recognizes the voice that it's Dinosaurus. And he's just like, where are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm still confused at this point.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, the next page, it cuts to Mark basically laid out on an operating table and Dinosaurus standing there.
Yeah, and then I was trying to think, was all of this fake?
Real? Like the fight and everything, was even that real?
Right. And so I was kind of like trying to figure that all out. And then I thought it was pretty interesting that Dinosaurus was telling him how they found a weak spot. It's the ears. So not only, he's giving really valuable information, and I hope that this comes into play later when they're fighting, because they're obviously going to still be fighting. Whoever.
Whatever. You hope
when
that...
Thrag is coming around, doing whatever he's doing. Yeah. I don't know. I really hope
I agree with you with that stance. Like, I hope they do talk more about that weakness, because we got a little bit of that from Robot back in not Robot, issue 50. Cecil uses it on Mark.
Yeah,
and he implants something. Oh yeah, he implants something, and he says that it kind of messes with his he couldn't fly and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the volume, we get more of that too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been teased,
but
and it going
it is a major weakness. Like, that is his weakness essentially. So.
Yeah. So if they could get this big sound wave going out, like, they would drop like flies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that he was giving that information, and then he was just talking about, what he's actually doing to him and how he pulled off his little stunt
with the teleportation while the building was collapsing.
I was like, that's so smart.
Yeah, he cloned him, swapped the bodies, and he knew how to do this because he studied him while he was trying to cure him from the scourge virus.
He was able to get into their files or something. So he's like, I know a lot more about you than you probably even know. Yeah. Like, it was crazy. And so then he just... then I think, why does he doesn't bring him out yet? But
not yet. We get a page of the Immortal, who basically, at home with the kids and Duplicate, he basically comes out of retirement. He's like, they need me. I gotta go help.
I know. It was kind of like he asked for permission, and then she's like, you're right. You have to go. But, I mean, it's not like she can't just duplicate herself for help, so it's
well, I wonder if that like splits her concentration in a little bit, or if there's any reason why she couldn't, and maybe she's she just wants to be a mom, she doesn't want to bother. But you're right, who knows.
Well, I just mean like with him going, like I get it, but and then it keeps going. So we see Angstrom again.
Mm-hmm. So he finally gets to go back home, and he teleports back, and he's underwater.
I know, and I love his face in this picture of like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. And then he gets out, and then he's trying to figure it out, so he pulls up the news feed, and that's where they announce that Invincible is dead. Yeah. So Dinosaur's plan works. Like, he's saying, he said, I've freed you. You don't have to be a hero anymore.
That's right. He said, I basically made you a martyr. He calls him a martyr. He says, because the world can see that, I killed you. You were trying to help me. Now you're free to help me, behind the scenes. And we can actually do things for real. We can do it right.
That's what it was. And I love Angstrom's face of just like, he doesn't know how to feel about this. It's something he's been so focused on for so long.
Yeah. This is what he's obsessed over. This is his goal. You know?
And he's done. Mm-hmm. Absolutely done. And then we go back to Dinosaurus bringing, or still talking to Invincible while he's in his little coma, and just talking about his plan.
And like that's where he tells him that, now you're free to help me. And then Mark basically lays into him saying, you think you've saved us. You think you've saved everyone by killing all those people, but all you've done is delayed the inevitable.
Right.
Like,
you're not teaching us. Yes. You're not changing us. Like, it's still
going to happen. You failed. You did this. All these people died for nothing.
Yeah, maybe you killed someone that could have helped us or could have changed
things.
Yeah. Like that's, you've messed up big time.
And I like what Mark says here. He says, all this time, I think I was trying to convince myself that I hadn't lost sight of who I was, hadn't become the bad guy in my own story. Well, newsflash here, we are the bad guys. He's saying that, they've crossed the line. Like, they've made a mistake, that they're the bad guys. So, and that's when Dinosaurus wakes him up.
Well, yeah, and this is when I really felt like, okay, Dinosaurus can be reasoned with, because when they were fighting and he just kept like pounding his idea and going and going and going, I like that he's reasonable enough to hear the other side and not just be like, I'm right all the time.
Yeah, I think that comes with the smarts.
That's true. Oh, very true. He's a very intelligent guy. And then, I mean, it ends up coming to after their conversation of, him agreeing with Mark and just saying, you know what you have to do? You have to kill me.
Yeah. And like he says that. He says, you have to kill me. And then it doesn't show anything. It just cuts away.
I couldn't believe, And then when I turned the page, it shows Mark walking out to this beautiful landscape.
And he's like bloody.
And he's got blood footprints following him all over his body. And I was like, he really just killed him.
Yeah.
It is kind of sad.
It's like he killed one of his friends.
Now, this is something that is brought up. I've seen it brought up online and everything like that. And I completely forgot about it at the time. Dinosaurus turns into a guy. Remember that? Mm-hmm. When he, and then when he becomes indifferent or whatever, he turns into Dinosaurus. So in a way, do you think this was wrong of Mark to kill him? Because there is a boy and like a kid inside him that transforms. You know what I mean? It's an interesting topic that I don't think they ever really talk about in the comic, but somebody brought it up online asking whether or not that was fair of Mark to do. And it's a tough question.
It's hard because I feel like I don't feel like he can really go back to the kid anymore. Like, he can, but he's mostly in this form.
It did kind of seem like...
But then it'll be just like last time where he was stuck in a cell.
Exactly. And it's not like... I mean, the kid was a jerk anyways. Not that makes it right, but you're right. It seemed as though the Dinosaurus was the...
He's the main personality.
He was in control.
Right.
But, nonetheless, it needed to be done.
It is. It's hard, and again, I think it goes along with you're just going to be delaying the inevitable. If you don't kill him,
you're right.
It's just something bad is just going to happen again. He'll escape or be able to do something.
Well, last time didn't he like die and then like we thought he was dead and then he came back.
Oh, when Thrag fucked him up?
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, he kind of healed a little bit.
Yeah, so
or he reverted back to the boy, which healed enough for him to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he did what he had to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or else, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I know, delaying the inevitable. And then Cecil comes out and is kind of just like telling Mark, "This is your fault. Mm-hmm. You know, all of these deaths are on you." And you know, Mark knows it. He feels terrible about it. That was part of his argument with, you know, Dinosaurus of we have become the villains. Mm-hmm. And he even offers to like go to prison. He's like, whatever his punishment's coming my way, I'm gonna take it.
But that's so unfair of Cecil,
right? Like, what do you mean by that?
Such an asshole. Like
he's slithering back in there.
He is. It's like he hasn't caused enough problems already. I mean, he brought back
Sinclair.
Sinclair, but the other
Conquest.
Oh, Conquest.
Yeah.
And he didn't cause damage then. Like that's just so unfair.
Oh well, no. I mean, and Cecil knows that. He basically says, like, you know,
I've worked with villains before.
Yeah, he says the line. He says, I've worked with villains before.
So, yeah, he basically offers Mark, like, the same deal. You work for me, just like last time. Earpiece, I call, you come.
Yeah. Which I was actually, I was quite okay with that.
I mean, I was okay accepting it, too.
Because he obviously wasn't doing well on his own.
Right. And I know Mark does say later, like, it's the better of two evils. He, of course, can do more working for Cecil rather than being in prison. So, again, it's like making that hard choice.
He can kind of, you know, pay his penance by doing this.
By doing good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's doing no good. He's not helping by being in prison. You know, he knows that to be true. And that's, I mean, 50 issues ago, exactly, we were having this discussion about how Cecil's this terrible person who took like D.A. Sinclair, who was turning people into monsters and testing on them, and he should be in prison. He's a villain. He's a bad guy. And you know, and here we are. Mark's basically done the same thing.
Yep. So
this has kind of been this whole trajectory of Mark's story and, you know, what's happened to him.
But I still feel like Cecil's the worst.
He is, because in any situation he always has the upper hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate it.
It's the government.
I know. Sticking to the man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and then, like, it keeps going where, you know, he tells Cecil Cecil tells him how many people have killed, and it's almost 1 million, which I was kind of shocked.
That actually died from this?
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that. And then they show the contraption that Rex made, which I thought was genius.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. So he made, like, an artificial moon, which we know.
2 of them.
Yeah. They affect, you know, tide. I was like, that's so smart. So I really like that. Mm-hmm. So then that way it could, I don't know, help the...
And they're actually stations, too, that the Guardians of the Globe can work out of. So now they have these, like, base of operations, too, that they can be in, which is kind of neat.
Or a base of operations for Robot to watch everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so yeah, that's when he offers him the earpiece and just tells him, you know, you're going to come work for me, kid. And, you know, and at this point, nobody still knows that Mark's alive. Everyone still thinks he's dead. The only reason why Cecil knew is because he had that...
He followed the signal from the teleportation.
Yes. And so, you know, then it shows Eve crying hysterically on the floor, and Nolan and Debbie just come back.
Which is interesting. The house is destroyed.
Right.
She flipped out. I mean, rightfully so.
Well, the funny thing is I was like, did this happen from... Like...
Yeah, but then you look, it shows the front of the house is fine.
Oh, yes.
So I think it was just her.
Just her. And maybe her powers just got completely out of control because she was emotional,
right.
like something. Yeah. So she tells him, like, Mark died. And Debbie and Nolan are just absolutely shocked. They have no idea.
They just got back.
They just got home. And then, she tells him how it was on TV. And then you just get the, hey, guys.
Yeah. I'm not dead. It was a clone.
Yeah, and just all of them looking. It's just, you know, like, what happened, and, you know, Eve's crying, and...
I like how she's like, prove it.
Prove it, but I want to know what he says. Like, what do you think that he said to her?
It's between him and her.
I just got my powers back, baby.
Yeah, like wink, wink.
Yeah, like I know. So I was kind of like, oh, I wonder what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just, keeps on going, talking about like Debbie and Nolan, how they're relieved. And Mark, of course, just wants to talk to Eve. And so he just explains to him, hey, I'm going to be working for Cecil again. This is what's going on. And she kind of talks to him about, like, is this a good idea? And he says, compared to the alternative, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, he just got his powers. He's talking about, like, up on the roof.
Yeah, like, I love that. They're sitting on the roof, and he's talking about, I remember being right here on this roof when I learned how to fly. It seems like so long ago. So I just jumped off the roof, and lucky for me, it worked.
Yeah, and I really liked how he talked about this. Like, that's kind of how he's just been going in his life, just to jump in and not really, like, think about things.
Yes, that's a great point that you bring that up, because that is a huge part of Mark's character. And we get that, a couple times, even in this volume. He jumps. Right. He just jumps without thinking, things through, because he's invincible. Nothing can stop him.
Why not? I'm a superhero.
But everything around him can be damaged by that.
Exactly.
And he's kind of dealing with that.
Yeah, and it's been a slow build up for him to like realize this and to have that maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like this part of his character. And so, and then he really just talks to her, and going forward, I just don't want any more surprises. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And then, Mark, I'm pregnant. And then
in his face.
What'd you think?
Well, you know how I feel about that.
I don't. Well, real world, yes, but in this universe,
it's just, I don't know. For me, the whole having a family and everything, especially in this kind of comic, just for me, I just find it very cheesy. And,
oh yeah.
I mean, you have to produce somehow, I guess, but I actually wrote down, for the love of God, go on birth control. But then it doesn't even work on superheroes. I don't know. But
True.
It was just, I feel like it was just so recent, like, and it's happening again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like she did. They were pregnant.
Yeah.
Well,
but I know it was a long time.
Yeah,
I know.
These are several months apart for us. But again, you're right. And and she got the abortion while he was gone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting the Viltrumite War, which was like Volume 7. So yeah, a couple volumes ago. So yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for it. Excuse me, but Brittany, like you said,
I just find it so cheesy. I mean,
happen?
it was already like abortion, and like that's such a touchy subject in anything you talk about, and then to bring up that she's pregnant again, and I don't know. I think it's cheesy, and it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Well, I remember last time she had some problems with her powers, so I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? This time with that, and I know Mark will be excited.
I know, but poor Mark. Oh my God, everything he goes through.
It's just something else to have to worry about all the time.
It's going to bring an interesting dynamic to the series going forward now. Like, they already did the abortion thing. Things should be okay this time.
They're probably not going to do it again.
Yeah, but that means there's just going to be that much more, pressure on Mark, and it's dangerous.
Yes.
He doesn't live an easy life, and like we just got done talking about, he jumps into things.
Right,
so.
And now his ability
That's what she said!
And now his ability to, like, reason with things is going to be clouded by the thought of Eve, pregnant Eve, baby, like...
Yep.
Whole new dynamic.
Yeah, this, like, changes everything.
Yeah.
So, issue 101. So we're into the hundreds now. You guys are getting so close to catching up.
Uh-huh.
This starts off with, I love this scene. This is kind of like what I was talking about earlier with Thrag. Basically, it starts with him, yelling at the Viltrumites saying, "Your behavior is unacceptable. You disgust me. You refuse to procreate," talking to Anissa. You risk detection by meddling in the events on Earth. You refuse to procreate with more than one human. So you got one who's in love with only one woman, one who's just like in love with all the women, and he's trying to protect them all. And then Nissa, who's just like, I don't want to do this.
She's like, fuck that.
And I like their reasoning. Like each of them like basically says, like Anissa's like, I've never wanted to produce offspring.
Well, I like her reasoning though too. It's not the same as a man. Like she's actually gonna have to get pregnant and carry a baby. Like
Yes.
it's much different than impregnating numerous people.
Yep.
So I get where she's coming from in that respect.
Yep.
I'm glad that it's starting to turn the tables.
Yeah, and they're doing it in a very smart way, you know. And Craig is basically saying, you know, my mate was in danger. I couldn't bring myself to sacrifice any of them. Besides, I mean, if they die, then they can't produce. You know what I mean? So it's like, he's like, hey. And then the other one's basically like, you know.
My girl was in a bad
she
relationship.
was in a bad,
It would really upset her if I, you know, was with another woman. Like, really?
Yep.
Big bad. What's the correct way that we were corrected to say Viltrumite?
Oh, yeah. Jesus. Viltrumite.
Viltrumite?
I say Viltrumite. Or no, it's Viltrumite. Sorry.
Viltrumite?
It is Viltrumite. See, I probably got you guys saying Viltrumite, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was any other way.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome. It's Viltrumite.
Cool. It's Viltrumite in our world.
Not VUL, VIL. Viltrumite. I'm
Yeah.
trying to train myself off of saying it.
No, it's no big deal. But yeah, for this guy to be like this big bad guy and just be like, I can only be with one woman.
Yeah, she was hurt in the past.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that part where, you know, Thrag sits in the corner on his chair looking kind of pissed, like he's losing his own people.
Yeah, and he's like he just can't fathom the fact that his own men are like, he's looking at them like they're turning into like bugs. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And I liked the scene with, you know, we get the continuation of the scene on the roof, and it's kind of like what you were talking about, Brittany, where they're just like, so we're gonna have a baby, huh? Crazy, huh? And they kind of like take a moment, and they're like, oh shit. And hey, like you said, Brittany, Mark saying, how does this even happen? We're careful. We're not stupid. Condoms are like 99.9% effective, right? Oh.
Well, then, yeah, I love Eve's response, you know?
Yep.
It's super sperm. It's so true, though. Like you said, you don't know if it works or not. So, I mean, I feel like, I know he just got his powers back. So I was like, maybe it was like super sperm from when he got his powers back.
Oh, so it's quick?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But she kind of already knew, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, he was human. So I thought that was odd.
I mean, maybe it's been a while since he's been without his powers, you know? So who knows?
Yeah.
I think we're thinking of this way too much.
We are.
Probably. That's me. I'm sorry. In my head.
No, just
like it
like,
really matters.
Well, if you knew me, you know I don't like children.
You don't like...
Oh, God, no.
You like children.
No, I do. But even just to say the word pregnant, I don't like
it's
it.
not for you.
So no, it's not for me.
Yes.
Well, at least we have two sides here. I mean, Liz, you have two kids.
Exactly.
So we've got...
I loved being pregnant. It was a good time.
So Mark and Eve walk in on Nolan and Debbie making out. And,
I love his hand on her ass. Like,
yeah.
it's like takes the whole thing up.
And they obviously figured it out because they've been together how long since they were back together, and there's
right.
no other little Invincibles running around yet.
Yeah, Mark is an only child, so they're doing something right.
They're doing something right.
Eve uses her powers to fix up the house because it was a mess from whatever she had done. And then, Immortal shows up to help, and I like this moment where, Immortal's saying, where do you need me? And Robot basically says, Best Tiger and Pegasus are working on something else. Kaboomerang is over there doing that. Japan Droid is doing this and all that. And Immortal's like, what? How long have I been gone?
Yeah.
Like, because, all these new members of the Guardians, and it was, again, another little, like, it's almost like Kirkman saying, like, hey, there's some new people, in town.
Like, you're kind of obsolete a little bit.
Yeah. So Mark shows up to help along with Eve, and Robot's not having it.
He's like, Mark, like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Well, he got pissed at him before. Once already, didn't he?
I think so.
About something?
Yeah, well, they were in space, and they were fighting. Mark got in the fight with all of them.
Well, yeah, because basically Robot was just telling Mark that you're not a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean, it's been ongoing.
I like that he's using the giant robot suit to fight him.
Right. Oh, yeah. Turn the next page and he just like punches him right into the ground.
Yep. And Cecil shows up, puts a stop to it.
Right, because he's supposed to be there to help. Like, get over yourself, Robot / Rex.
Yeah.
Making you not like Rex again.
Yeah, no, I really don't at this point.
So Cecil takes Mark away. Rex is still pissed off. You know, he's saying, you know, have you forgotten what he did? And then we get Xandil kind of, you know, bulletproof / invincible or whatever, who's freaking out on him. He's like, he made a mistake, okay? He did terrible things. You know, things happened because of that. People died. You don't think that it's hard on him? You don't think that he's spending every waking moment of his life, thinking about it, haunting him?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it was a mistake. One, I'm sure he'd take back if he could. And everybody is
little
like...
catharsis right there.
You think? So, yeah, I think Xandil was kind of projecting a little.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. But, I mean, he's right. He's still right in the same respect of, you know, all of them have made mistakes that lead to people's deaths, and all you can do is atone for it, and that's what he's trying to do.
Yep. So, I like what you know, Mark and Cecil go to do next. I like how he wanted to see Dinosaurus' body.
Yeah, I thought that was really clever, especially because, like what you brought up, Britt, how he kept Conquest alive.
Yeah, I don't trust that skeevy little bastard.
And Mark being smart by saying that he marked the 6th vertebrae with his thumb.
Yep,
you know, so he can check to make sure this isn't another clone or another, you know, dummy. Like, this is Dinosaurus and he is dead. And he just wanted to make sure. Yeah. So, and I like that. Like, I don't remember if it was us that talked about it, or if it was an email or something. But right here, like, Mark and Cecil never talked about what happened with Conquest.
That's
because
right.
so much has happened. And they do bring it up.
You did bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still pisses me off.
Yeah. And
it's just brushed over, you know,
and
because
they bring it up. They bring it up here for a second here, and Mark says, like you did with Conquest, and Cecil's like, I didn't know, you know, if you knew that, you never mentioned it. And Mark says, it was during the Viltrumite War. I killed them again. I never brought it up. I was keeping the Viltrumites on Earth from you. It didn't seem right. I didn't see the point. So much has happened. It's almost like Mark, kind of like us, was just kind of like, whatever. At this point, so much has been done. Conquest is dead. You know, so much has happened since then.
He's thinking bigger picture.
Yeah. Yep. So Mark needs a favor from Cecil, though. Concerning, you know, Eve, and, you know, introducing Sherry, the, like, nurse, I guess you'd call her.
She looks like Storm to me, and she was wearing gloves, so
Oh,
it kind of
kinda.
was like, looks a little bit like that to me.
Mm-hmm. There's a name for this. She's not a nurse. What is she called? She's a nurse for pregnant women.
I'm a midwife, a doula.
A midwife, yeah. I think
Is
it's
it kind of like a midwife?
Yeah.
So she's like the superhero midwife who uses her powers, which are X-ray vision, to be able to, you know, examine Eve and check on the baby. And she's basically says that, oh yeah, everything's okay, but you need to stop using your powers immediately.
Yeah.
In that moment when they look at each other like, oh shit.
Yep. I mean, she says that your powers could either fill your body with toxins that would affect your healthy development of your child, or rob it of essential nutrients that would otherwise be passed to the baby. So, yeah, she doesn't have a choice. She has to go without powers now, which Mark just did. So,
right. Yeah, a nice little swap. And I like how she talks about, oh, there's a file on you. I've read it. And Eve's like, what are you talking about? And,
oh, yeah.
And she kind of, like, tells her about her own powers of, you know, how they work and how she intakes, you know, when she intakes food or other things, like, that's how she turns or can use their molecules to turn stuff into different things.
Yep.
Like, so I thought that was cool to get, like, a little insight of how her powers actually work.
Mm-hmm. And then we get a couple pages of Cecil talking to Nolan and Debbie on the moon.
I love how angry Debbie is. She's like, won't even look at him. She's just yelling at him. She freaking hates
always
him.
hated him.
I know, so I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, get him, Debbie.
Yeah, and like basically like right now, Nolan wants to stay, but he can't stay on Earth because of, his past, what he's done, what he means to the Earth. And basically says that, he has to stay on the moon. So they have this little moon base for him that they're going to live at. And so him and Debbie are going to live up on the moon. It cuts to the final page of 101, which is Thrag standing there watching them. So kind of spying on them.
Well, yeah, so a fight's coming.
Mm-hmm. And it covered issue 102, Thrag and Nolan fighting on the moon. Now, I thought this was really cool because this issue just straight up starts with Thrag flying through this glass dome in space and attacking Nolan. Normally issues don't do that. Normally an issue would end and it'd be like, oh, a tease. Like, oh, he's watching him. Like, we saw that how many times with Angstrom and everything.
Exactly.
Like
that. Yes. And mostly the way it ends isn't going to be the first scene that you see.
Exactly. And this one just cut right to it. He's flying through, and I loved seeing Debbie. Like, she's suddenly getting pulled into the vacuum of space. Because we don't really see humans in danger too often in this.
No.
Especially Debbie. I mean, last time she was in danger was probably Angstrom, when he broke into the house, broke her arm and everything like that.
Right. But she still had Oliver at that point, too.
Yeah, so baby Oliver.
Yeah.
So, her
holding on for dear life so she doesn't get sucked out into space.
Mm-hmm. And I liked Nolan grabbing her and throwing her beneath the closing door to get her to safety.
Just her breathing and just like the blood all over her. And then there's the panel of her trying to get her breath, and there's a window in the back, and you can just still see Nolan and Thrag fighting.
Mm-hmm. So they take it outside. They start beating each other up. Now, you got to remember, at this point, Thrag knows that Nolan is the true heir of Argyle. Like, he's the heir to the throne.
So what a freaking idiot to attack him.
Yeah,
just let it lie, Why bring attention to anything?
What's been going on in Thrag's life lately? All his, lieutenants, all his, people are starting to become more like Nolan. Yeah, he's losing control, right? But it's slipping. So he, He's doing what he thinks needs to be done. Maybe he's getting a little too hot-headed. Maybe he thinks he can just take him out. He knows he can kill him. He's practically killed him before. So he knows he's stronger. I'm just wondering,
what purpose it would serve to kill him.
Even if people did find out, then there would be no heir. He'd still be able to lead. I don't know, maybe he's scared. Maybe he's just scared of him.
Yeah, I guess.
But now, does this page look familiar? Thrag says, I need to tell you where you really come from. This is the famous,
speech.
Yeah.
We've gotten it several times now. And the same, similar panels of, what's...
Story, play-by-play.
Yep. And, him talking about Argyle and basically telling him how he is the heir and, how he's been covering it up and how he destroyed, Viltrum and everything like that. And I love it because... Normally this goes on for several pages, and this one gets cut right away by Nolan punching him and saying, I don't care.
Right, shut up.
Yeah, I don't care if I'm the heir. I don't want to be the ruler of the Viltrumites. I have no desire to usurp you.
Right. Yeah, he's happy with his life.
Yeah, and Thrag says right here, he says, it doesn't matter. I can't have anybody else finding out. I can't have anyone standing between me and my legacy, you or your son. And he proceeds to beat the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. And then like Nolan's eye gets popped out.
I've noticed this eyes all throughout this thing. Harriet, her eye popped out with the frying pan. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Mark's eye. Now Nolan's eye. So this one is an eye popper of a hardcover.
Oh yeah, right around this time, somebody's eye popped out in Walking Dead 100.
Oh.
So this is Kirkman definitely had a thing for eyes popping out right around this time. You're right. Right when it looks like Thrag's about to kill Nolan, somebody grabs his fists, and he turns around, and who is it?
Dun, dun, dun.
All the Viltrumites dead.
I was kind of surprised. Mm-hmm. I was like, how did they know where he was? How did this happen? So I was kind of taken aback by this.
Yeah. So they Thrag basically says, like he's weak. Look at him. He doesn't deserve this. You know, they know that, you know, the Viltrumites know that he is the heir at this point. They heard him saying it, and they basically attack Thrag. All of them beating the shit out of Thrag, saying that he will die.
Right. Well, they couldn't believe that they lied to him, or that Thrag lied to them. Like, you actually found the heir? Like,
yeah.
Really?
And they've been keeping it from him. He's been keeping it from them because they value that person just as much as Thrag does, and that's why he's scared. He knows that they'll turn on him, which they do. They turn on Thrag. They're about to kill him, and
right.
And Nolan says, "Let him live."
And I really like how they kind of call it out. It's like, it's not just because the leader is strong, it's because they're wise. You know, so Thrag, you're nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I liked that part too.
Mm-hmm. I like the image of them all kneeling on the moon with the sun in the background and Thrag floating. Very, very great. Very great. Very awesome page there.
Yeah.
So, and then a time later, we've got Nolan.
All hail Emperor Nolan.
Yep.
Like, what?
That's sudden.
Yeah, wearing the garb, wearing that big robe, and I like Mark kind of standing amongst the Viltrumites like,
this is weird.
This is so weird. So, Nolan is now Emperor of the Viltrumites.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal.
I wonder how this is really going to play out. Like,
Yeah, like my first thought was, how's Alan gonna take this?
Yeah, and like a few issues ago, we were all concerned that, you know, okay, all the Viltrumites are living on Earth amongst you, and then all of a sudden they're starting to become
Here, I'm going to send you on a mission to figure out what they're up to.
Yeah.
AKA, hey, I'm the leader.
Yeah.
Just by our BTW,
hey,
Alan. I'm now their leader.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be able to tell you everything that they're doing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like Mark is going to, or Nolan is going to have, like, the same, I don't know, idea of, go ahead, go live amongst them. You know, you can recreate or procreate if you want, but I don't think he'll have the same objective as Thrag, but I don't think he's going to care if they live amongst them, because he knows what he had or has, so he wants them to have it too.
And he's the ruler. He could say, don't kill anybody, you know, like this is who we are now.
Yeah. So,
no, it's big. It's a big thing. I mean, like, Mark talks about it a little when, you know, he goes back to the house and he explains it to Eve, and he's talking about how weird it is and how, you know, he even considers, he's like, part of me is thinking, is he an evil genius? Was this his plan all along?
Right? How could he not, though?
Yeah, and he's like, he's like, things are just moving. He's so fast. He's overwhelmed. Things are changing. You know, obviously Eve's pregnant, and he says, you know, sometimes I think about how different things are. You know, it's hard to keep track of what's been going on, and he says, I know things will never go back to how they were, but sometimes I can't. I think, can't I just go back to high school when my dad was just my dad, before I even had powers? But then I realized that was before I met you. You're the one constant in my life, Eve. The thing I know will always be there. At least I want you to always be there. And he's like, I'm screwing this up. I shouldn't be doing this now. You deserve way better. I don't even have a ring. And yeah.
So cute.
So Mark
then
proposes.
You see, pink little sparkles happening, and poof.
And Eve made the ring she always wanted. And she says she will. So Mark
and I love their cheesy little smiles, like,
yeah.
So that was good. I mean, that was a good ending to it, and
a lot happened in that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm happy that they're going to have a kid, they're getting engaged, so at least they're trying to have some sort of normalcy in the chaos.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, this made me think of, you know, Mark, I can't believe you left me to run this planet. Yeah. Do you remember that from, like, issues ago? Like, he left, who did he leave in charge?
When he left to go fight the Viltrumite War, and that's when he came back and she had the abortion.
Yeah, no. There was something else, and it was a different dimension. I can't remember who he left now, but it would, like, tease that, you know, Mark left, And I felt like this was kind of like a timeline that could have happened.
Oh, are you talking about back when Mark got stranded in that desert dimension and that, and that the future Guardians of the Globe showed up and Eve said to him, like, tell me that you love me. When you go back, tell me that you love me. Because she grew up, she lived without him, and it basically ruined her.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up because there was something that he left someone in charge, and it was too much for him.
Well, that was the King Immortal.
Is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah, when he goes to the future with those two guys. Yeah, and he says, and that's, we talk about that issue a lot. That was the issue where he said, Mark, are you still sick? You're smaller than I remember. What does he say? I'm trying to remember everything he says. He says, are you still sick? I haven't seen you since you took your family and left Earth. He says, you left me in charge. You were the leader of the Viltrumites, and you left me in charge.
Right.
So
this
all
is
these
okay.
things,
So these are the
I
things.
see Brittany's like gears turning.
Yes. So this is what I was thinking. I was like, everything's happening.
Yep.
So I was like, it's kind of like lining up with that. So that's what that's exactly what I was talking about. So I'm like, there's going to be some stuff happening. So I was like, I kept thinking, well, Nolan's either now gonna die.
Yeah, like this leaves Mark. This leaves Mark in line.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was where my crazy brain was going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's fun because you guys are getting so close to catching up that I can almost talk freely with you. Like things are like
They're right there.
So I love this issue. How this issue starts. Issue 103. The entire front cover, is Angstrom Levy taking up the whole thing. It starts, he starts off jogging, he's running, he's waving to his neighbors, he picks up the newspaper, and he stretches and says, it's good to be back.
Bam.
Opens the door, talks to his little floating orb things, and he's like, there's just something to be said about being back in your own home dimension. I can't quite put my finger on it. But he puts the newspaper down, and the newspaper is announcing that Invincible is in fact alive. Angstrom spits out of his coffee. So I love that start because, like we talked about, that was all he had. That was his goal.
Look, and he was happy.
He was happy.
Let it go, melon.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty out there. But yeah, like he was doing something productive. Mm-hmm. He was nice. Waved to his freaking neighbor. Like, really?
Yep.
Just let it go.
And then we've got Rex sitting in his command chair on his floating moon base. It's like the Death Star. And
he just looks like he's brooding, though. Like,
he
look
is.
how angry
he's listening to the news report talking about how Invincible's alive, and we have, him to thank for saving us and all this. And meanwhile, Rex knows. He knows what he did. He hates that Mark is getting off scot-free just because, he knew what he did. He knew teaming up with Invincible and all that, and he's pissed.
Right.
So Monster Girl shows up, and she's like, hey, you ready? We got to go out, and he flips out on her a little bit about how, about Cecil letting Invincible get away with everything. And she says, is this about credit? You want people to know that you saved them? Because they don't say anything about Robot being the one that actually saved them. So you gotta think there's that too.
Oh yeah, I like that she's calling him out on his shit. I mean, of course, she knows him better than anybody.
Yes.
But
I mean, Rex says, no, that's not it at all. It's just not right. So next scene, we've got Mark and Eve laying in bed. Eve's looking at her ring, and then suddenly she freaks out.
She realizes she used her powers.
Yep.
And she's preggers.
She used her powers to make her ring. They call Sherry. I think it's Sherry.
I think you said Sherry.
Yeah.
We'll call her Sherry.
Yeah, it's Sherry. So Sherry shows up, uses her x-ray vision, and says the baby's fine. It's okay. I'm glad you called me, and now I know for sure, but now I know for sure it will hurt your baby.
Right. You'll use up your energy source. Your body will use your baby for energy.
Yeah. And she essentially says if you use your powers, your body will absorb your baby. To because like you were talking about before, like
that is such a gross way to put it.
Yeah, that's what she said. And then you see like look at Mark and Eve's face.
Like finally sunk in, but yeah, no, that's nasty.
That's their face after she tells them that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so now they know no matter what. Like,
None.
None.
Don't do it.
yeah.
So that makes Eve, extremely vulnerable, as we come to find out. And so we've got Thrag. We're back on the moon base of the Viltrumite ship, and Thrag is imprisoned there. And he's basically saying, "You disgust me. You should kill me now. Let me offer you some advice. Kill me now." And
Prolonging the inevitable.
yeah, and Nolan's saying, like, "No, I'm going to show you a new way. I'm changing things.
No.
It was the old way to kill the weak. This is not how I'm going to lead."
Yeah.
And so he's already changing things. He's already,
Because he is changed.
yeah.
I finally believe it.
I don't know. I don't know. And where's Debbie?
Debbie? Oh, she's probably living on the Viltrumite ship. I don't know.
Like, they haven't showed her yet since he became...
You're right. So, Eve goes to William's house. She says she just wants to go and just talk to normal people and about having normal conversation. And I like how, because she says she's forbidden to use her powers, I like how she says that the drive took forever because she's not used to driving.
Well, I mean, like that's how Mark felt.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't fly and just everything was so different. So she has to experience it now too, which I like because it kind of connects them on a different level again.
Yep. And then we get the reminder that Rick Sheridan is a robot, and she tells them that, she's engaged, that they're, Mark's no longer my boyfriend. So, yeah.
I forgot that he was a robot, to be honest.
Yeah, so did I.
That was D.A. Sinclair. He was the one that was tested on.
Yeah.
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 All those issues ago. So we've got Mark fighting one of the Maulers, and
I was confused. I was like, I thought they were dead. Which
Yeah.
They did die.
First of all, I liked the Mauler twins, so
They
I
were
was kind of
funny.
excited to see them.
Yep. No, they
one of
definitely die. There are several instances in Invincible when characters don't actually die and they come back. This was, I think, my least favorite. It happened in one of the Guarding the Globe issues, a spin-off series, and it just felt a little too convenient. And it was just like, all right. And it kind of took away from me a little bit of how they died, because that was Oliver. That was when
Right?
Oliver killed him when he was a kid.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that was.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
thought that was really impactful and a big deal. They basically played it off like the Duplicate thing, where he basically had another clone somewhere. And it was just like, all right.
Yeah, I
Whatever.
guess. It works. I mean,
Yeah.
that is what it is.
Yep. And then the Guardians show up to put an end to that. And I love Eve stuck in traffic.
Just so mad.
Yep.
But then she's happy.
I
Yeah,
know.
She knows why
Realizes-
she's doing it.
I know. I like her little conversation with her belly. Like you better be worth it, and it's showing her acceptance of it and being excited about it.
Yeah. And then she gets home and she's attacked by Angstrom.
Ugh.
I was so mad.
Why isn't he dead yet?
Mm-hmm.
And at first he mistakes her for Debbie. It's like,
Oh yeah.
Does
yeah.
he really?
yeah.
Because that's what happened last time. He assumes that it was just going to be Debbie again.
Then he basically calls her fat. Fucking asshole.
Oh yeah.
Just die already.
I know, he's like a little thicker
Oh
in
yeah.
this
In this dimension.
in this dimension. I was just like,
Yep.
what a dick.
I
But
think he's been on too long.
He's been
Yeah.
going too long.
He's been going too long.
Mark shows up. Angstrom immediately sends him into another dimension, just kind of instinctually.
It just pisses me all off because it happens every time.
Yeah. So.
And then we're left, with like Eve crying on the floor and Angstrom just saying, now where were we? So I'm like, oh gosh. Because thinking about what he did to Debbie last time, and I'm just like...
And she's pregnant.
And
she
she's pregnant. She can't use her powers, so she can't defend herself.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And then, just Mark.
And again,
back
this
in that
isn't the same old, like, oh, he's back in this dimension stranded. Like, the other Marks were left there. So you get this, and you hear slosh, slosh, or something.
Ugh.
And you turn and you turn the page.
It's so fucking disgusting.
And it's like a cannibal version of one of those Invincibles eating the other ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He arrived just in time for dinner.
He's like, oh, good,
It's so
yeah.
gross.
Yeah. I mean, I liked that play on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
kind of like, you're reminded of what had happened, and well, shit, they've been there for a long time, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Again, nothing really gets thrown away in Invincible. Everything kind of comes back around.
Yeah.
But issue 104.
I liked the cover of this one because it was weird though. It showed Eve in her costume when she wasn't in her costume before. So I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, what happened with that? But one of his little orbs, you can see her face and how she's just like crying and snot's coming out of her nose, and she's super scared. So something's going to happen. And then it goes back to, Invincible basically finding this zombie guy in this new dimension, and he's just basically telling him, this is what happened. We were here for so long, we got hungry, and so we killed the bad one.
Yeah, I like how they're like, we never liked him. Like the first one, he
deserved it.
Yeah, so then he goes through to that, and then he kind of tells Mark, well, you look kind of fresh.
Yeah.
I think you would be delicious.
I was not expecting any of this.
Right? Isn't this a crazy turn?
Well, yeah, and then, so Mark punches him in the face, tells him to back off, and then I'm going to call him the zombie Invincible. He just, he looks like freaking crazy. Like, game on!
Yeah,
like,
he's excited.
Yeah, he's like, winner gets the meat. Like,
winner gets the meat.
Challenge accepted. Like, what just happened? So, I mean, it just goes through them, fighting and,
And this is cool, because, last time we got to see these alternate dimension Marks, it was chaos, and so much was going on. You didn't really get to see Mark versus Mark.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we ever really get to see that.
Right. And his instinct, too, is, he wants to help him. He's like, I can help you. Mm-hmm. We just have to get back. And it's... The other guy just doesn't really care.
No. He's been there too long.
And he seems super strong. He's super fast. He's catching up with them. And
he says that. He says, I noticed we weren't really getting weaker when we got hungry. Weird. I think I'm weak from being stranded here. No, he says, you're weak from not being stranded here.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So the one that was stranded there, he's like, because I was stranded here, I'm strong.
Exactly. I like that play.
Yeah, and then crazy set in.
Yeah. Exactly.
A little too bored. I know. And then it goes back to, the Grayson house and, Eve just laying on the floor crying. And Angstrom's looking through the fridge for something to eat. Really? There's your turkey and provolone sandwich, Brett. Yeah. And, you see Eve kind of contemplate, using her powers.
Yeah, she has her hand up and everything, like she's going to do it.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh gosh, no. And then she decides not to. And then Angstrom turns around and is like, you do have powers. You're going to try something. And says, my orbs let me see everything, stupid girl. And then he puts it all together of who she is.
Yeah, because he's known from other dimensions. He realizes you're Adam Eve.
And, I really like this conversation. This was awesome.
Yes, everything, Britt, I agree with you to a point where it's he's kind of been this ongoing character, teasing, will he, won't he, doing all this stuff. He comes, he goes, he comes, he goes. But, again, same with, the Desert Dimension. They're doing something different, and that's kind of what Invincible does. I mean, this whole conversation that they have while Mark is fighting this other dimension is brilliant. I love it.
Oh, yeah. And just the fact that he says that they're always intertwined and that Mark's been bad or a villain more times than he's actually been good speaks to what kind of person he is, and she should be, concerned about this. And
he figures out that she's pregnant. He said, even when I was choking you, you didn't use your powers.
Right.
And he's like, so you must be pregnant.
Oh, yeah. So I did. I thought this was such a good...
But yeah, him saying a lot of the time, a lot of the reason why Mark went bad in those other dimensions was because of you. Because, you were hurt or you were killed and he'd snapped. Right.
So now I'm thinking, oh, God, that's going to be his final revenge is killing Eve.
Yeah.
And making him go crazy. So I was very anxious at this part of, what is he going to freaking do to her? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it goes right back to, so it's this flip-flop back and forth to Mark on Mark.
Yep.
And, them fighting. And all of a sudden, see Mark go, huh? And then another alternate Invincible
we'll call this one
shows
Mohawk
up.
Mark.
Yeah, Mohawk. Mohawk comes along, and they kind of, like, team up. They're like, this guy's really bad, so we should take him on together. And so they kind of agree to do that. And
I like how he was like, you know, I'm going to be honest, I helped kill the first guy. I ate him. He was a jerk. We were starving. It was either him or us.
Yeah. But now it's kind of like happening again. Now this guy is the ultimate jerk. It's just, they're just going to keep killing him off. And then we bounce back to Angstrom and Eve talking more. And this is where, you know, Eve kind of calls Angstrom out, like, stop focusing so much on Mark and realize what actually happened.
Yeah, she says, he told me what happened. He told me how you ended up like this. And Angstrom says, you mean how he interrupted my experiment, killing my other counterparts, erasing me from the multiverse? No, I want to hear his version.
Right? Well, and I'm glad, you know, that he actually, like, allowed her to talk.
And this is what I keep wanting to say every time he comes up, Britt. And you're like, why does he, why is he doing this? Or why is he so obsessed with him? And I love that, again, Kirkman's basically saying, hey, he is an idiot. Mm-hmm. He is obsessive. He is, you know, wrong.
Right, but as they point out, like, things went crazy. So he couldn't see things clearly, or he's getting all these memories from different...
The other realities.
Yeah, other realities. How do you keep it straight? How do you know what happened, what didn't happen? So I really like that she pointed that out.
That he saved Mark.
He made that choice. Like, that deep down, you're a good guy, which you saw a glimpse of in the beginning as he's jogging and waving to his neighbor. Like, he's still there.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, like, brought him back. And she brings up Rex.
Well, yeah, and she does it in a really cool way. She says, you killed my boyfriend. And he says, not yet, I haven't. And she's like, no, not Mark, my ex-boyfriend, Rex.
Yeah.
He was never the nicest guy, but he was a part of my life.
Yeah, and he was important to her. They grew up together. Like, and he took that away from her. Mm-hmm. Did she come after him? Did she hunt him down? No, she moved on. She created a life. She even said, like, the cheesy stuff. Oh, I lived every day to the fullest, you know, like...
Yeah, and I like how she's like, you know, no, I didn't do that because that would be stupid. I have better things to do.
Like, fuck you, Angstrom. Like, get a life. And I think, and that kind of, like, took him back, and you see, like, he's speechless for a minute. Yeah,
she says, and when Mark gets back, he's going to defeat you, and I'll get back to my life, and I'll have his baby, and we'll live happily ever after. My reward for not focusing on revenge.
Yeah,
And Angstrom's like, oh shit.
Like, okay. I really like that, and I was like, good for you, Eve. You know, like, I kind of was excited about that part. And then of course, we hop back to the Marks, all fighting, and Mohawk Mark finally gets a hold of Zombie Mark and is, like, destroying him. Yeah. And, you know, real Mark pulls him off and is like, dude, just relax. It's over. Like, let it go. And then he turns around and he sees a little portal. Yep. So he takes it and he goes. And right then Eve is like, you know, you gotta listen to me. Like, stop. Like, please don't attack him because... obviously there's a portal for a reason. Like, and I didn't understand that Angstrom opened up that portal right away. Like, I was like, oh, I don't know how it happened, but I just accepted it, I guess. I don't know. And then flying through comes Mohawk Mark and freaking just starts annihilate just Angstrom. Wailing on him, yep. Who hears, like, remorseful Angstrom of, oh man, you're right. So this has happened now twice. First, you know, Mark talks to Dinosaurus and he realizes...
You're right.
It comes back, and now...
So now we've got this theme of kind of realization and kind of repentance in a way where it's like, these are villains that have done these terrible things and are kind of come to terms with what they did and how, you know, and I don't know who says it. I think Mark said it when he was talking to Dinosaurus, that every villain thinks they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
And that's what is done here. That, like, they're and that's convinced. A great concept. I love that. And that's been told in, you know, Superman with Lex and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's not a new concept that every villain thinks they're doing the right thing, but it's not often that, at least I have seen, where the villain kind of gets, you know, kind of realizes the other perspective and makes a change by it.
Yeah, and so quickly. Or even, like, in the face of the person who makes them realize it. Usually it's, you know, you go back and you're like, think you it was your idea, you know?
Yep.
But, you know, and it goes on to talk, like, Angstrom actually has a conversation with Mark about how he lost his way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was so focused on revenge. And, you know, he is this magnificent person who could do so much. Like, he's got to stop and actually, like, go out and live his life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he then warns him and says, you know, Mark, you're not so wonderful
Yeah.
over all these dimensions.
I want to read that. He says,
Yeah.
"You're dangerous, ruthless, evil in so many dimensions. I believe that says a lot about your nature. It should concern you."
Yeah, and I like then it shows a panel of Mark.
Like his eyes, like just kind of like
Right, like, and you
considering
know
that.
he is. And he's thought about it before, because he's like, when he killed somebody, you know, he's thinking of, was this right? Was this wrong? You know, kind of like questioning himself. So this, again, I think kind of brings him back of, what kind of person am I? Am I a hero? Am I a villain? You know, he's been struggling with this.
Yep.
And then does he apologize to Eve? I feel like.
Not quite. I think Angstrom basically says, you know, that he's going to send Mohawk back to his own dimension, and he earns whatever punishment awaits for me.
Yeah.
I can only one day, you know, hope to accomplish some good, you know. And he opens up the portal for Mohawk. And Mohawk's like, you know, we know how to deal with your kind where I'm from.
Screw you, you know what? Yeah, and he takes him through the portal. And you can see, like, Mark is upset about it, but when it comes...
Yeah,
I know, but he's kind of, like, didn't want it to end that way.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark's not necessarily satisfied with this ending. I mean,
Well, because he doesn't know what happens.
Yeah, and he doesn't, I mean, again, kind of coming, you know, taking a step back as, you know, readers of this book, Angstrom has been tormenting Mark for years of his life, and he keeps coming back. So, of course, Mark's going to be like, this isn't done. I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, okay, everything's fine.
Right. We know people don't really die. They come back, or clones, or this and that.
And he knows too much about him. He has the ability to come back. Mark doesn't like that loose end. So he calls up Robot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because she says, now what? And then Mark says, I have an idea. And then, yeah, Robot comes over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of just like... I don't really like that he called Robot. I mean, I feel like... I mean, I already said last time, I kind of thought that he was upset that he was no longer a ruler, and predicted, like, something was going to happen with him.
And we've got the hints already.
We've got the hints. He's been angry. He's, like, just been hating on Mark. So, like, I saw this as his way to kind of, like, get in good with Mark.
Yeah. Honestly, reading this month to month, all these, like, signs you're seeing of, you know, Robot scheming something, I never really caught on. I never really caught on. Maybe it was just me, but I didn't really get it. Like, I knew that he was upset. I thought he was just angry with Mark, but it never crossed my mind
like
that
an angsty
something was
teen.
going to be coming that, you know,
right,
that in the scale that did. So,
yeah. Well, and then, like, I was kind of surprised how much the scales had turned, because, or reversed, or whatever the freaking saying is. But then, like, Mark became the obsessive one. I have to find him.
Yes.
I'm like, really?
No, you're
like,
right.
we just
yes.
went through this,
Yeah.
and now he's like...
Mm-hmm. So that we get a lot of that over the next couple issues here. So issue 105, Mark zooming across the ocean on the cover, very superhero-esque looking cover, very cool. It starts off with Robot multitasking. You know, he gets a call from Mark, and he's still working on Mark's problem. He's still looking to
Amanda's looking pretty good, just saying. Well, the green dress.
Oh, yeah, Amanda in the green dress. Oh, and, you know, I love Mark on the phone, stopping this car with all these robbers, like, shooting at him and everything like that. I just love that.
Yeah, this is
I like how he's like, I still make time for the little people.
Yeah.
So, who wants to go to jail? None of you? Or who wants to stay out of jail? None of you? Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Show of hands. But you're right. Monster Girl shows up. They're going out on a date or something. And he says, like, you know, he swears he's not, you know, controlling drones in the field. He's just got the one that's helping Invincible. And, you know, they get ready to go out on a little date night. I mean, young Robot and Monster Girl were my favorite.
Yes.
Remember that when they were cute
Yeah.
and like talking about dating, and he was like, "Oh, on to phase 2," and I just miss those. Like those were really great days.
I know. Well, but I mean, part of it was not taken away from us, but we didn't get to see them really develop
Yeah,
a romantic relationship
it
at
was
all.
over in the Flaxon dimension.
Yeah.
It was over thousands of years.
So I feel like when we do see them together, it's not like a forced relationship, but it's just something that
We know they have history now, like so
Right.
much, and there's just it's not that young innocence anymore. Now it's complicated.
Exactly.
So Nolan decides to do something pretty drastic here. He decides to
Let go, Thrag.
let Thrag go.
Okay.
He says he's going to exile him. He says, "Don't come back. Go find some cold, distant place in the galaxy and live out your lives there. Leave." And he sends him away.
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Again, because we know he's just gonna come back.
That was like what the hell?
I mean, I get it.
Well,
I
because
get what he's trying to
gotta
do, but
have
man.
loyal followers. Like how could anyone not? Especially when he's been like in charge
Yeah.
of them for so long. Like how could he not have people that are gonna follow him or stick up for him?
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like he's going to.
He's too strong and too powerful to be let go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mark's building the crib for the baby, and him and Eve get in this discussion about how Mark needs to stop, stressing over Angstrom. He needs to stop thinking about it, and what's that?
I'm just laughing at her, like trying to build the crib. Like.
Yeah, and she's basically telling him like stop obsessing over it.
Our
and-
life is moving forward.
Yeah,
Like
and she says, if he comes back, we'll deal with it. Focusing on this, obsessing over him, making him pay for what he's done, it's just a distraction. And there's too much going on with the baby and everything like that. And she basically says, just don't do it and finish my crib.
yeah.
Alan then gets the... I like how it says like 20 minutes ago, Thrag says that, it is talking to Alan, and then it says now. And Alan flipping out that, Nolan let Thrag go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be pissed.
Obviously.
too.
And Alan says, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to show the Viltrumites, by letting him go. I just don't like the idea of him being out there. So
It's a big
Alan shares our
loose-
concern.
loose open end of doom.
Back to Robot and Monster Girl on their date. And Robot is kind of distant. He's unhappy. He even says he's like he was in charge of all of it when they were in the Flaxon dimension. The people, the social requirements. He's like they ruled over an entire world. People worshipped him. What does he say? I was someone important, and now I'm not.
And then he gets brought the wrong meal.
Oh yeah, I love how he gets brought the wrong meal.
That's how unimportant he is. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah, everything's just kind of stacked against him, and it's been a hard transition for him to go from that to not getting any of the credit. And it's interesting because he says that he doesn't want credit. He says he doesn't need that and everything like that, but he doesn't like not. I think it's more of a control thing.
it is.
He doesn't want to be
doesn't
recognized
care.
for it. He just
He
needs control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's that's what he tells me on it. It's just like he's not happy anymore. Like he's not happy at his role or what he's doing on the planet, and he's just I don't know. You could just see that something's really going wrong.
Yep. So, Mark gets a call from Cecil. He goes to stop a villain. Gridlock is his name, which is a villain that Nolan actually fights early on. And the name came up because, fighting Gridlock means that you're stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
So it was taken, I think it was Kirkman. They talk about it in the back of the hardcover. It's a cool story. But I like, Nolan shows up and they go have this chat on the moon. And I love this conversation. It's one of my favorite panels here is them just kind of talking, like father to son about, he tells him,
Children, yeah.
he tells him that they're having a baby.
Yeah.
And Nolan says, congratulations, that's great news. And Mark's just saying, is there anything you can tell me to help me? I'm scared. I feel like I'm going to mess this up. Weren't you scared? And it's a great conversation between the two of them.
Well, I just love how he confesses, I've been scared every day of my life.
Yes.
And the fact that he can now admit that, because before he was saying there was no emotion, like he was beating his son to death.
Mm-hmm. You meant nothing to me.
You mean nothing to me. Exactly.
That's why I still don't trust him as a leader.
He didn't kill him.
Yeah.
But I get you. I feel, it's always best to be on the defense rather than be all on somebody's team.
Mm-hmm. So issue 106, I like them arm wrestling on the cover of this. It's a fun cover. But it starts off with the return of Battle Beast.
Yes!
He's back, and he's continuing his search for someone strong enough.
Yes, I know. I was so excited to see him. And he's just, crushing people.
Mm-hmm. And he leaves because I think it's, Space Racer's with him.
Yes.
And I like how he kind of takes on a little girlfriend.
I know. Please take me with you. Really?
And he's like, okay.
The Space Racer's face is just please.
Mm-hmm. So he's back into the mix. Mark and Eve go to visit Nolan and Debbie on the Moon House base, whatever. And it comes up that they're pregnant. And Debbie is like...
She's hot and cold.
Yeah, it's like, you're pregnant? Wait, you didn't tell me? You told your dad? There's this whole... mix and
slow
forth.
progression
and
of
then
her
Cecil
face.
knows. She hates the fact that Cecil knows.
Oh yeah.
But I like that they get that moment together. And then there's Doc Seismic. So Doc Seismic has returned. He's down below the surface, and he's kind of calling out to his Magma Knights, these minions that he has, and he gets attacked by lava. So more on that soon.
Right. That sounds like what? That was a big question for me.
Yep. Then Monster Girl is walking through the moon base of the Guardians, and she's walking through. She's
going to see Rex.
Yeah, she's on her way to see Rex, and he comes out of a secret room, and she says, "I had no idea there was a secret room there," and he's like, "You weren't supposed to. It was a secret."
Playfully.
Yeah, and he's like, "Don't forget, I built this space station. I've got secret rooms all over the place." So it's just another little, again, didn't really think much of it when reading it month to month.
I know. Well, it's too how they played off with his little face.
Fun. Yeah. So that's
we can do anything we want in these secret rooms, but
yeah. But back to Mark and Eve on the moon with Nolan, and they're having their little family dinner, and I love how it comes up talking about how strong Mark and Nolan start talking about how strong they are, and they decide to arm wrestle.
Nothing more childish than an arm wrestle. I remember doing that in middle school.
I love Debbie's face, and she's just like, "Oh God," and Eve is like, "Is this really happening right now?" And the best part is, what is it? Don't they mention the costumes? Where is it? I thought they said something about how they even had to put the costumes on, or something.
Oh no, I don't. I'm sure you're right, but I just don't know where it is.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking to myself how funny it was, how they had to get in. They had to get in costume for an arm wrestling match. But they're pretty evenly matched, and it looks like Mark might even be able to win. But then you see Mark glance up, and Anissa is spying on them. So she's kind of watching, and you see Mark kind of let it go for a second, and then Nolan slams his arm through the table. So Mark let Nolan win. And he says to Nolan, he's like, "Is your leadership of the Viltrumites dependent on you being the strongest?" And Nolan's like, no, that was the old way. Why? And Mark's like, "I was just curious."
Yeah.
So
he kind of lets him know that.
I really didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, Mark was concerned that he didn't want to be stronger than his dad, because then Anissa might.
Was just spying on him.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a little bit of both. So Doc Seismic is like being tortured. Lava is being poured over his face, and they're basically transforming him. They're turning him into something different.
You were chosen. Yes.
Yep. So back on Telescria, we've got Battle Beast, and he has a meeting with Alan. And what is the mission that Alan gives to Battle Beast?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Go find Thrag.
Yep. So
yes,
Thrag,
like
ultimate battle.
Right?
Well,
So
kind of.
Battle Beast has been
some.
searching for someone like to match his strength. And now we're going to pit these two against each other.
I cannot wait to
That'll
see
be...
that bloodbath gory show. I cannot wait.
Yep. It's exciting.
And I love the grimace on Battle Beast's face.
He's just like smiles.
He's like, yes.
He's so happy.
Finally.
So, 2 more issues left in Volume 9. Issue 107, the cover is Amanda kneeling down with her son, Monax, still imprisoned. Really cool cover. I like that one a lot. But it starts with Volcanica, who's transformed Doc Seismic into this new lava creature kind of thing, basically saying that that he can control the earth, and he's just become more powerful. So he went from this old frail man with these wrist machines that allowed him to control the earth to this lava creature. Neat transition for this character who was essentially one of Mark's first villains in the very beginning. So, yeah, basically calling him the king of the underworld. So, Amanda goes to the Pentagon.
Oh yeah.
And she
talks to not Cecil, but that robot.
Monax. Oh no, the robot. Donald.
Yes, Donald.
Yeah, she talks to Donald and convinces him to let her speak with Monax.
Right, and I like that she went around Cecil. Like I thought that was
smart. Yeah.
And then you see, and the first response from Monax is "Hello, Father."
So weird.
I know. I was like, oh, can't you just be like?
It's so weird. I love it. It is.
And I like, they have a really good conversation. Starts out of, she was surprised he was even talking to her at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And, he just kind of tells her how he's deduced that she didn't know about him, but you'd be a fool to believe
that Rex didn't.
Because I watched my mother, get murdered in front of me. I've been hunted, I've been moved around, I've been kept a secret, but Rex and his people have always been hunting me.
Yeah, and he basically lays it out that Rex is a bad person. And he says, where he went, the things he did, is that something you really come back from? And Amanda's like, I've had enough. This conversation is over. And she walks away.
Well, because and she thinks she knows him so well. And it's just like, I can't believe he kept that part a secret. And it's still a secret.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
So, Doc Seismic and Volcanica are attacking, and Robot calls Monster Girl into action.
Yeah.
Very cool shot of her transforming and coming through to this 2-page splash of all the Guardians fighting these creatures. And
I like that her outfit is like tidy whities or like
or her leotard.
Her leotard, yeah. Like you still got a cute butt for a boy.
So.
Then Invincible comes to help out. Yep,
Invincible comes to help, and he finds out that it's Doc Seismic, and basically, they fight, and there's this giant creature, and then someone flies through the creature's mouth, killing it, and it's Anissa. So the Volcanica and Doc Seismic retreat, they go away, and Mark goes after Anissa and finds her flying up in the sky. And, she said that, Mark says to her, he's like, I saw you spying on my father. What were you doing? And she's like, I wasn't. I was watching you.
Sure.
And she super speeds into him and kisses him.
Yep.
He's like, not cool.
Yeah, but then she basically calls him out, you didn't resist.
Yeah, but does she know that he has the genes of the...
She has to. She knows Mark knows the father. So you're right. Yeah. So maybe that's...
that just...
Mm-hmm.
That's another motive.
Well, remember, she did not want to procreate. She doesn't like the idea of humans. She doesn't like that.
Well, Mark's not human to her.
Yeah. Exactly. So maybe that might explain why she's interested in him.
Yeah.
So, back at the house, Mark is still struggling with Angstrom. He doesn't tell Eve about Anissa, but, he's still struggling with the fact that, Angstrom Levy is still out there and he could strike at any moment. He talks about how he's killed him once before and he found a way to live. He's got the resources, and
it's not over.
And Eve basically says, just let it go for me. I see you go down the same road he did. Don't let this drive you crazy. So, again, I was talking about how
Angstrom just needed an Eve. That's all.
Yeah. And Volcanica and Doc Seismic talk about how they'll be ready next time. They're gearing up for another fight. And then the issue ends with Mark getting a phone call, waking up in the middle of the night, and it's Robot on the other line. And he says, the portal's ready. We can go.
Yeah. So just when he told Eve, basically, that he's going to let it go.
Yeah. He got the call. He can go to Angstrom. He can find him and stop this.
Should just let it go.
So the final issue 108, final issue of Ultimate Collection Volume 9. This is a big one. So the cover, crazy cover. We got Mohawk Invincible standing there with a bloody, chained up Angstrom.
Yeah.
And in the lower corner, we've got Mark and Robot charging in. So, the issue starts with, them getting ready to leave and Eve basically trying one last time to convince Mark not to go. She's saying, I'm pregnant. We're starting a family. Have you forgotten that? I'm scared. I'm going to lose you. And Mark's like, that's all I'm thinking about. All I think about is you and our children. I can't, this could destroy our family. Like, we can't let him be this loose end.
They both have such valid points.
They do.
It's and it's hard to know which one is the best choice. And I like, oh man, this is such a rough fight because Mark says, like, you've never dealt with anything on the same scale as I do every single day. And he's like, what? And Mark's like, you didn't fight wars on alien planets. You don't deal with maniacs from other dimensions. You didn't face, you don't face a lot of world-threatening foes. I could see how something like this would scare you. And he's like, bullshit. I fought Conquest. I fought the Sequids. It's a case of you being obsessed and being blinded by that. And Mark's screaming at her at this point, saying, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with keeping you safe. I'm obsessed with stopping the people that want to kill you. I mean, I promise you, you'll thank me for doing this when I'm done. You'll see. And he says, and he's yelling at her, saying, what has gotten into you? Is this hormones? And she fucking slaps him. I know. I loved it because there's nothing that you should do.
I wrote on here I'd slap his face too for saying that.
Oh, man.
Well, that's like, I don't know if I do. Never mind, I won't talk about that.
Yeah. And she says, don't be so sure about, about being thankful for him doing this.
Yeah. Have fun. Yeah. Bye, dickhead.
Yeah. So she walks out. Robot's like, she's not happy about this, huh? Mark's like, you always were the genius. I mean, you can tell there's like this kind of animosity between them a little bit. Things are a little off, but they say, all right, let's go. And they go to step through the portal, and you see this, and you see Mark kind of standing there looking down, like kind of one last instant where he's kind of considering it. And they step through the portal, and they're in space, and they look over, and there's a whole fleet of Viltrumite ships.
Oh yeah, that was kind of like a oh shit moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not so good.
Yep. So they fly down to the Earth's surface, and someone behind them says, "Face me," and they turn around, and it's Conquest, which is awesome.
I was like, really? But I mean, it made sense. It's a different dimension. I was like, Here we go.
This can be all different people. There can be all different, people who are dead could be alive. People who are alive could be dead. This is completely different dimension here.
But I like that he still had his, like, mechanic arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they follow, they follow Conquest back to the Pentagon, which seems to be the headquarters for the Mohawk Invincible.
Yeah.
And they Conquest shows him to the room in which Mark is, and it's Mohawk Mark surrounded by
Mohawk
Eves, which are all from different dimensions. And I like how Mohawk Mark pulls him close, and he's like, "I lost someone close to us. I'm sure you know who. It's hard to fill that void." Again, kind of reminding you, like, hey, if Mark ever loses Eve, he could snap too. But yeah, I like how he's like talking to him like all relaxed and everything. He's saying, he's got Angstrom locked up, and Mark is saying that, hey, I know how dangerous Angstrom is. I can't leave that in play. I have to know what you've done with him. And
he takes him to him.
Yeah, Mohawk Mark takes him to him, and Angstrom is just chained up. It looks like they're running tests on him, and like, he's basically like he's been refusing to use his teleportation abilities, and they've tried to cut it out of him.
Yeah. Until they succeed,
they keep going. So they haven't figured out how to get his abilities, and they're saying that they're going to keep experimenting on him. And Mark is just shocked. And Mohawk Mark's like, why are you so shocked? You came here to kill him, didn't you? And Mark's like, I wasn't going to torture him.
Right, yes.
So, again, we get more conversation about, when Mohawk Mark was stranded in the desert with all those other Marks. He says that they talked about what turned us. A few of us, our fathers raised us to take over. The rest, there was something that, opened our eyes to who we really were. I'm guessing that hasn't happened to you yet. You haven't yet realized how different you are from these people, the people of this planet. And, we get this shot, this panel of Robot kind of looking, like watching, like listening to what they're saying. And then you turn the page, and this is when it begins. So, what were you thinking at this point? Did you know, like, this was it? Because it's kind of been heading to it? Or
I mean, once I saw this page, yes. Like, I didn't know or have any inkling that, like, something was going to happen at this point. I really didn't. Mm-hmm. So then when I turned this page and saw that, and just, like, Robot's stance, oh my gosh, I was like, he's killing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's killing them.
Him saying, I'm really sorry, but I see now that I have to do this.
Yeah.
He vaporizes the scientists. He shoots this, like, ball down the throat of Mohawk Mark, and it's saying that it's burrowing into your esophagus, and he's saying that his insides were weak, and he basically blows up this Mark from the inside.
I thought that was nuts, and just the artwork of his throat expanding was awesome. It was so good, and there go the eyes.
Yeah.
So there's the fourth time.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting any of that.
And Mark's like saying why, and he's like, in a second, first Angstrom. And then he goes and cuts off Angstrom's head.
I was like, I was just like in shock, like what's happening?
Yeah.
And I was like, here it is. Like Rex has definitely decided, like, this is my path.
Yep.
And the fact that, like, he was so mad about all the people that Mark killed and this and that. Well, now he's doing the same thing again. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, you can't.
Well, he's saying, he says, that he's using that sonic pulse, a very low level, inaudible sound that, is, basically rendering him immobile. It disrupts his Mark's inner ear function, and so he couldn't fly or anything like that. And he says to Mark, do you think I'm that stupid? You've known me for too long to think that. We have a long history together. I know this is probably really confusing right now. Let's just leave it at, I learned a lot in my life in the Flaxon Dimension, a lot about myself. Monster Girl and I were there a lot longer than we let on, because they don't know. Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
And he says, I was concerned that people might, grow suspicious if they knew the truth. Simply put, I have big plans, and you simply don't fit into them. I was worried I'd have to kill you, but I don't want to have to do that. Leaving you here seems like a better option, because you'll never allow me to do what I have to do. It's funny, though. As against what you were doing with dinosaurs, it was mostly because it conflicted with my plans. It really was the most forward-thinking you've ever been, and it impressed me. You could have been a good ally. But seeing your potential here, only one of us can rule. So when the portal, he says, when the portal closes, the signal will cease, so he'll be able to get around. You should have plenty of time to figure something out. But you should hurry.
Yeah.
And he steps through the portal. Mark is, sitting there, and he looks around at, the Mohawk Mark who's dead, Angstrom whose head's cut off, and the dead scientist, and he just says, "Holy fuck!"
Right. Oh my gosh, I echoed his sentiment. Like, I just, didn't even know what just happened.
So what's Robot's big plan? Like, he's saying that Mark is going to interfere, but he also says that, him and Dinosaurus were onto something.
Right. So, we obviously know he wants to be a ruler of some sort. He knows that Mark would somehow get in the way, so he's got to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm stuck thinking that what did Amanda say, or her son said? Just something about how he wants everyone to follow him and worship him. So it just, whatever he's going to do something bad and then make himself the savior.
Yeah.
To be able to, fix the problem.
Oh, yeah.
So then people are going to, start depending on him and needing him, kind of thing.
Because like you said, he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. He doesn't want the glory. He just wants the world to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And he'll do whatever needs to be done to make it that way.
And I like that he said, or he acknowledged, your potential here. He knows that Mark can be a good leader, and he eventually could get there, but it's just not the way that he sees it. So,
So
screw you.
So he just left Mark in another dimension. Yeah. Eve and him were fighting about this.
They were just fighting. They left. I know. If he would have just freaking listened.
So Mark is trapped in another dimension, surrounded by dead bodies.
And he can't get back because Angstrom's gone.
Well, that's what I was focusing on. I wasn't even focusing on what Robot's plans were. I was like, how is Mark going to get back?
Yep. And there's a conquest on the other side of that door. What's Robot going to tell everybody when he gets back? Mm-hmm. What's going to happen with Eve? Eve's pregnant right now.
She's going to have this family without him. Just what she didn't want in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I have my suspicions.
What are they?
I think that Monster Girl's son's going to come into play.
Monax? Yeah. He's a cool character. I like him.
I know. I hope he, freaking
he's going to help Mark.
Fucks Robot up. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to help Mark come back, and that's my guess.
And
that's a good
well, Angstrom Levy obviously can't send him back.
He's not really dead. Yeah. There's going to be another one and another.
No, there's not. I will say this: there is not another Angstrom, because they made a point to say that there are none left.
Yes. So, I remember that.
So Mark's going to have to find another way back.
Which I think will be...
Have to do with him.
We'll have to do with Monax, you think?
Yeah, that's what I think.
I have no idea how he's going to get back. None.
That's really cool. That... Conquest, volume, 6 of Invincible. I think it was, volume 6 of hardcover was one of my favorite. Volume 10 is right up there. It's insane. There's some really, really great issues in it. I mean, volume 9 set up a lot of really amazing stories, and it was really good. I mean, we had issue 100 and everything in there, but really excited for you both to read volume 10. And after volume 10, there's essentially a volume 11, but it's not out yet. That's how close you are to being caught up. There's enough issues to fill volume 11. It's out in 2 months or whatever. So after volume 10, you'll essentially read volume 11, whether it be in the hardcover if it comes out by then, or I'll give you the issues, or you read it digitally, or what. But you're almost caught up.
That's awesome.
You're so close, and soon we'll get to talk about new issues, about what's currently going on, and you're going to be all caught up for the end.
That's cool. It only took us a little over a year.
Yeah, well, you guys started 2 months after we started the podcast.
Okay.
So it's gonna be about a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
since he started. It's going by quick, but very exciting. So thank you everybody for listening. This might be our longest new reader, but that's okay because there's a lot.
Longer and longer.
We are getting longer and longer. There's more to talk about.
It was issue 100.
Yeah, which was a bigger issue. So everybody, thank you for listening. We appreciate you for listening. Thank you again. And if you would like to email us, remember you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I post all the episodes on YouTube now, just the audio versions of them. So you can check them out there if you prefer that. And thank you again, Liz, for listening.
Thank you.
And Brittany. Thanks. And we'll see you around. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.